Welcome, everybody. Abba Yahweh, we just thank you so much for today. We thank you for the beauty of your creation. We thank you for your faithfulness in our lives. We thank you for our friends and that we come together as family, united under your name. And we just want to worship you. We want to declare your truth from the pages of ancient scripture to song. And I just want to give you thanks once again for blessing me with a song, a new song to an ancient text. So today it's from Psalm 34, 27 and 28, but this is from the Septuagint. So I think, is it one back? Is that 33 or is it 30? So it would be 33. Yeah. So a little context with this, and you're going to see it's like other people can praise the Most High and will praise the Most High when they see that you've been set apart and that you've become righteous. And it's like, so other people can join in praising our Heavenly Father, our Abba Yah, because they see that you have become righteous. It's like your testimony, the grace ministered into your heart. And so these people are rooting you on. They're not trying to, they're agreeing with you and just rejoicing. So that's the context of this song. The whole song is a lot about enemies and people just falsely accusing you or just nailing you down and not wanting to see you succeed and stuff. And it's a very good meditation for you to read and stuff. And the other thing to note too is meditation in this context is with your tongue. It's like we're speaking that meditation out loud. It's not just internal and in quiet. We're actually meditating it and rolling it off our tongue and speaking it and declaring it. So on your righteousness. My tongue shall meditate on your righteousness and on your praise all the day. My tongue shall meditate on your righteousness. My tongue shall meditate on your righteousness and on your praise all the day. My tongue shall meditate on your praise all the day. Sing it one more time. Tongue shall meditate on your righteousness and on your praise all the day. My tongue shall meditate on your righteousness. My tongue shall meditate on your righteousness and on your praise all the day. My tongue shall meditate on your righteousness. Rejoice in my righteousness, exalt and be glad, and let them say continually, Yahweh be magnified. Let them that rejoice in my righteousness, exalt and be glad, and let them say continually, Yahweh be magnified. Who desire the peace of his servant, his servant, who desire the peace of his servant, the peace of his servant. Shall meditate, praise all the day. My tongue shall meditate on your righteousness. My tongue shall meditate on your righteousness. his servant. Desire the peace of his servant. Oh, the peace of his servant. Proverbs 30, again in the Septuagint. Yahweh has taught me wisdom, and I know the knowledge of the holy. Yahweh has taught me wisdom, and I know the knowledge of the holy. Yahweh has taught me wisdom, and I know the knowledge of the holy. He reprove you, and you be made a liar. For all Yah's words are tried in the fire. He defends those that reverence him, and not to his words lest he reprove you, and you be made a liar. Yes, Yahweh, all your words are tried in the fire. They are tested, they are refined, they are true, they are pure. Your ordinances, your statutes, your precepts, your law, your instructions. It is good. And we stand on it. Even if we don't understand everything yet, we declare it. Prophetically, your promises, your truth. Thank you for teaching us wisdom continually. We want to grow in you. We want to know you more. Thank you for setting us apart, and that you show us deeper things as we desire to seek your truth. Yahweh, Yahweh, and praise your holy name. conquer by your song, that I may conquer by worshiping you. I may conquer by your song to feet upon high places. He mounts me, he makes me to walk on high hills, that I may conquer by his song, that I may conquer by his song, may conquer by worshiping you. We worship you. Let the peoples praise you. Praise you. Let the peoples praise you. Let the peoples praise you. That your way may be known on earth, your salvation among all nations. Be glad and sing for joy, all nations. Shall judge and rule the people. Then the earth shall yield her increase. Our own Yah shall bless us. us enough daily. Sabo, to you we do lift up our souls. All that we are, all that we have, everything. As we worship you and just place you once again, over and over again throughout our days, minutes and hours and seconds, to place you as the authority over our lives. We just worship and adore you. shall judge the earth and the people with his truth. He shall judge the earth and the people in righteousness. For he has established the world, so it shall not be moved. He shall judge the earth and the people with his truth. He shall judge the earth and the people in righteousness. For he has established the earth, so it shall not be moved. Sing the Yahweh a new song and bless his name. Sing the Yahweh on the earth from day to day. Sing among all people, Yahweh reigns. Yahweh's salvation to proclaim from day to day. Sing the Yahweh a new song and bless his name. Sing the Yahweh on the earth from day to day. Say among all people, Yahweh reigns. Yahweh's salvation to proclaim from day to day. Hallelujah! The way of the godly is made straight and is also prepared. The way of Yahweh is judgment. We have hoped in your name, and on remembrance of you learn righteousness, you that dwell on the earth. The way of the ungodly is made straight and is also prepared. The way of Yahweh is judgment. We have hoped in your name, and on remembrance of you learn righteousness, you that dwell in the earth. For the ungodly one is put down, no one who will not learn righteousness in the earth shall be able to do the truth, able to do the truth. For the ungodly one is put down, no one who will not learn righteousness on the earth shall be able to do the truth, able to do the truth. We name your name, oh Yahweh Elohim. Take possession of us and give us peace. We name your name, oh Yahweh Elohim. For you have rendered to us all things. We know not any other beside you. We name your name, Yahweh. We name the authority that is above us and that we submit to. Not just a title, your name, Yahweh. Our soul longs for, my spirit seeks you very early in the morning, very early in the morning. Yahweh, your commandments are a light on the earth. Learn righteousness, you that dwell in the earth. Our soul longs for, my spirit just rest and abide under the shelter of your wing as we continue to adore you and to declare your truth and to go deeper places today. May we be discerning of the times in which we live in. May we see the layers and patterns of what starts at the beginning, because it shows us much about what we're living in today and what's near to come. So we just ask for a continual blessing and anointing on the rest of the study today. In your name, Yahuwah, through the sprinkling of the blood of Yahusha, so that we can be in covenant with you, because we believe and it's accounted to us for righteousness. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Davene. It was wonderful worship tonight. And this time around, I did not hold the mic because we knew what happened the last time. That's why I was watching you. That's why. And it unfortunately, it has become an inside joke. So, yeah, so I'm not holding the mic to sing anymore.
Let's just say I've really enjoyed replaying that study over and over again. I get a good laugh. Yes. And I do love your worship, honey. Really, I do.
No, so it's not going to happen again.
And just heads up, ladies, if you need to get a glass of water, it's just around the corner there. Go for it.
Okay, so we are still in Genesis chapter 21 on this wonderful night, and I'd like to thank everyone who made it out to the Bible study and those who are going to listen to it after it's posted to whichever video platform that it's hosted on after, whether it's YouTube or some other stuff that we're working on. So tonight it's part 2 of 21, and it's titled A Son is Exiled and an Oath Among Men. So in the news, and I'm sure everybody is aware of it, it's about the migrant, in quotes, problem at the U.S.-Mexico border. And this headline, the Mexican-American grandma saved migrant lives in Arizona. So Davene is going to read and see how it ties in.
A hot-button topic dominating the current news cycle is the U.S. border crisis, and how Orange Man Bad, in quotes, is allegedly handling or managing the situation. Who's to blame, or whether the holding facilities are concentration camps is not the issue.
For those who don't know, Orange Man Bad is a nickname for President Trump. Right, so yeah, Orange... Yeah, Orange Man Bad.
Thanks for clarifying.
Right.
I didn't know that
either. It goes back to another situation, but that's one of his nicknames, Orange Man Bad.
Okay. So, okay, let me just start back there. Is allegedly handling and managing the situation. That's Orange Man Bad. Who's to blame, or whether the holding facilities are concentration camps is not the issue of our commentary on the matter. For whatever reasons, people from diverse backgrounds, from poor regions across the planet, are making the uncertain and perilous trip to the U.S.-Mexico border, hoping to gain some sort of legal status by crossing into the U.S. geopolitical boundary. Knowing the dangers of the journey, people are still willing to risk it to gain a perceived better life in the U.S. For those who take the risk, what can be expected? For some, they may find a good Samaritan waiting at the border to welcome them in. And this is the article here by Josh Axelrod, Von Diaz, and Kelly Moffitt. There is a particular story that stays with Maria Ochoa, who is part of an organization called the Tucson Samaritans. The one that always comes to mind is searching for a 19-year-old young woman that was 7 months pregnant, traveling with her husband, Ochoa said. She was tired and couldn't keep walking anymore, so the group left them behind. They looked for a shady spot where she could stay. The husband left her there to try and find help. He got a little bit lost, but finally found a border patrol officer, and they went back to look for her, and she was gone. After 4 or 5 weekends of searching, the Samaritans were never able to locate Grecia, the missing young woman. Many dangers await migrants who attempt to cross the border from Mexico into the U.S. Hundreds die each year, faced with dehydration, hypothermia, and drowning. Many more go missing along the route, separated from their group. Ochoa has spent 17 years with the Tucson Samaritans. She helps migrants along the way who are stranded or in danger. She brings them food, water, and medical assistance. In some other instances, they may lose their compass and end up in an area that is of restricted access. And this is another article. Guatemalan woman dies crossing Goldwater bombing range near Yuma. A Guatemalan.
And before Devin continue, these are recent, but before the whole news cycle blew up again, I was gathering this for this Bible study. These news pieces here.
A Guatemalan woman was found dead on the Barry M. Goldwater Range on Monday after she fell ill and was left behind by a migrant group she was crossing with, authorities said. On Wednesday, Border Patrol agents evacuated a man from a rugged valley. Yuma Sector Border Patrol agents and a helicopter crew with air and marine operations recovered the body of the woman, who was about 40 years old, said Jose J. Garibay, spokesman for the Yuma Sector. The Air Force bombing range includes more than 1 million acres of open land just south of Welton, Arizona, with the easternmost edge about 85 miles west of Tucson. Around 4:38 p.m., an emergency services operator in Mexico told the Yuma Sector Operations Center that they had been contacted by a group of 10 people who were lost in the desert after crossing the U.S.-Mexico border illegally. The caller said that one of the women in the group was losing consciousness and she had been left behind, Garibay said. The Border Patrol dispatched members of the Border Patrol Search, Trauma, and Rescue Unit, or BORSTAR, a group of agents specially trained in emergency medicine, rescues, and searches, and they had a helicopter crew that began to search the range east of Yuma for the woman. Within 78 minutes, the helicopter crew found the woman and 5 additional people. Agents on the ground located 4 more nearby, Garibay said. The cause of the woman's death is under investigation, he said. Her remains were transported to the medical examiner's office, after which they will be transported back to Guatemala with assistance from the consulate, he said. In other instances, your death is published to score political points. A woman watched her husband and daughter drown at the Mexico border, reports say. The bodies of Oscar Alberto Martinez and his 23-month-old daughter, Angie Valeria, lie face down in murky waters littered with reeds and discarded beer bottles. Their heads are wrapped in a black T-shirt and her tiny right arm is draped over his shoulders. The shocking image captured Monday was a grim reminder of the dangerous journey migrants take to get to the United States. The pair from El Salvador drowned Sunday in the Rio Grande as they were crossing from Mexico into Texas near Brownsville. They actually had made it to the Texas side initially, and Martinez placed his child there before turning around to get his wife, a journalist said. But when Angie Valeria saw her father swimming away, she jumped in after him. Julia Leduc, the photographer who captured the image of the pair, told CNN in Spanish on Wednesday. So for those who make it, their final destination is a migrant center or a declared sanctuary city. Though different circumstances, this could be the faith waiting for Hagar and Ishmael after being evicted from the tent of their mighty one Abraham. For those who know, the Middle Eastern desert can be just as unforgiving. And for a woman and her son, men who do not fear Yahweh could take advantage. At least in Hagar and Ishmael's situation, a guarantee was given to Abraham by Yahweh, who he trusted in. For those who put their trust in Yahweh, he would keep them in the shadow of his wings and guide them to a safe land to find rest. No matter the circumstance, we must always put our trust in Yahweh.
So this is not a new situation with all these migrants. This has been going on from generation to generation. It's only because of mass media we can sort of get a glimpse of it. But unfortunately, we are not getting the full picture. We have to go and dig deeper to understand what is taking place and let it fit back into our paradigm as it relates to the Bible as we as we go into its depths to unlock what it's telling us for this generation. So this, as I said the last time, would be an ongoing slide that's going to always be presented. Are we
reading it or just going to show it?
It's just to always remind us what we are here all about. And I've added one new entry to the very bottom. You should be connecting the dots from Genesis 1 up to the point where we are at now, because everything interconnects to each other and it's playing out right in front of our eyes in this current generation. So we have to be connecting the dots now and seeing what is taking place. So that will always be the reminder each week, well, not each week, but each time we have a Bible study. So now we are continuing in Genesis chapter 21 from verse 17 and 18.
And God heard the voice of the child from the place where he was, and an angel of Elohim called Hagar out of heaven and said to her, "What is it, Hagar? Fear not, for Elohim has heard the voice of the child from the place where he is. Rise up and take the child and hold him in your hand, for I will make him a great nation."
Right, and for those who might be joining in, it's just a reminder that we use two main source texts, the Masoretic in the English translation, and this is from the Korean publishers, and we use the Septuagint, the Greek translation. So it's very important to see contrast that is taking place. All of them are telling the same narrative, but sometimes the details could be very, very different for the same narrative. So it's important to have those optics when we are looking at the scripture and applying it to our lives. So hence the two versions plus the Hebrew to, pull words out. So tears of sorrow, the cries of a young man. Put yourself in Ishmael's shoes for a brief moment. Things are cool with you and your father. Suddenly, for no apparent reason, he says for you to leave. You have no means of supporting yourself, and with the human predators everywhere, a target you have become. Ishmael is out in the wilderness with his mother, with few morsels for provision that quickly ran out. But his weeping is heard. The strong one of Abraham is paying close attention to the situation as it unfolds. Most likely the angel messenger that spoke to Hagar, and remember that happened back in Genesis 16, his mother is intervening again. As Hagar was instructed before to return to her mistress Sarah by the angel messenger, and she obeyed, again she is given an instruction concerning her son. She is told not to be discouraged and to take her son into her hands. And a promise of becoming and that's bold, great nation is made. This reinforces the point from part 1 of the study about the temperament of Ishmael and him most likely trying to create a strong bond with his younger brother. So we decide to go the alternate route, the typical understanding of that situation with the weaning of Isaac is that Ishmael was mocking his brother. But when you really read the narrative properly, it seems as though there's more going on to this than mere Ishmael mocking his brother. It could be the opposite.
The comparative of the law first mention of the word that was being used.
Yes, especially when you read it from the Septuagint narration. So we are going on a little rabbit trail here just to see what's happening. So staying on Ishmael but changing the optics again, let us dive into the book of Jasher. So for those who don't know, Jasher is one of the books that's mentioned in the scripture, and I think it's Joshua and can't remember the other. One of the kings. Yeah. And some people believe this is the Jasher, but I have a different view on it. So what Jasher is saying here.
And it was at that time at the end of a year.
And this is from Jasher chapter 21, 1 to 15.
And it was at that time at the end of a year and 4 months of Abraham's dwelling in the land of the Philistines in Gerar, that Elohim visited Sarah, and Yahweh remembered her, and she conceived and bare a son to Abraham. And Abraham called the name of the son which was born to him, which Sarah bare to him, Isaac. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac at 8 days old, as Elohim had commanded Abraham to do unto his seed after him. And Abraham was 100, and Sarah 90 years old, when Isaac was born to them. And the child grew up, and he was weaned. And Abraham made a great feast upon the day that Isaac was weaned. And Shem and Eber and all the great people of the land, and Abimelech, king of the Philistines, and his servants, and Philcol, the captain of his host, came to eat and drink and rejoice at the feast which Abraham made upon the day of his son Isaac's being weaned. Also Terah, the father of Abraham, and Nahor his brother came from Haran, they and all belonging to them, for they greatly rejoiced on hearing that a son had been born to Sarah. And they came to Abraham, and they ate and drank at the feast which Abraham made upon the day of Isaac's being weaned. And Terah and Nahor rejoiced with Abraham, and they remained with him many days in the land of the Philistines. At that time Serug, the son of Reu, died in the first year of the birth of Isaac, son of Abraham. And all the days of Serug were 239, and he died, and Ishmael, the son of Abraham, was grown up in those days. He was 14 years old when Isaac bare Isaac to Abraham. When Sarah bare Isaac to Abraham. And Elohim was with Ishmael, the son of Abraham, and he grew up, and he learned to use the bow and became an archer. And when Isaac was 5 years old, he was sitting with Ishmael at the door of the tent. And Ishmael came to Isaac and seated himself opposite him. And he took the bow and drew it, and put the arrow in it, and intended to slay Isaac. And Sarah saw the act which Ishmael desired to do to her son Isaac, and it grieved her exceedingly on account of her son. And she sent for Abraham, and said to him, Cast out this bondwoman and her son, for her son shall not be heir with my son, for thus did he seek to do unto him this day.
Now, the reason why we are referencing this passage here from Joshua is because a lot of people like to use it when they are trying to build that narrative concerning Ishmael.
About the mocking.
Yeah, about the mocking. But there are a couple things wrong with this narrative here. So, for instance, it says Terah came as well. But if memory serves us correct, Terah had died in order for Abraham to come into the land. So how Terah could be coming in, and again, that's if memory serves us correct, right? So that's one situation. Two, it seems to be jumping ahead in certain instances with that whole situation, but it's trying to build a narrative for why Ishmael was kicked out of his father's tent. And this is one of the references people like to use to build that case to develop their doctrines. So that's just one source.
A simple read of the account from Jasher shows there are many issues with this account, hence reluctance in referencing this resource, even it proves...
Even if it proves TeamD perspective.
Okay.
So staying on Ishmael but changing the optics, let us dive into the book of Jubilees. So this is taken from Jubilee 17:1-9.
And in the first year of the 5th week, Isaac was weaned in this Jubilee. And Abraham made a great banquet in the 3rd month on the day his son Isaac was weaned. And Ishmael, the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, was before the face of Abraham, his father, in his place. And Abraham rejoiced and blessed Elohim because he had seen his sons and had not died childless. And he remembered the words which he had spoken to him on the day on which Lot had parted from him. And he rejoiced because Yahweh had given him seed upon the earth to inherit the earth. And he blessed with all his mouth the Creator of all things. And Sarah saw Ishmael playing and dancing, and Abraham rejoicing with great joy. And she became jealous of Ishmael and said to Abraham, "Cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman will not be heir with my son Isaac."
Okay, you can stop right there. And before I even read this from Jubilees, those who were here in the last Bible study knew that when you read the Septuagint account, it's saying something different than if you read the Masoretic account. And here we have the book of Jubilees backing up that theory that was put out there, that Ishmael was not mocking Isaac, but more bonding,
playing with them
and bonding with his brother. And we also showed evidence of this in terms of many men in Israel were also named Ishmael. And when you name your child after one of your ancestors, it always typically means that that's someone that you honored, and you want that name to be honored within your family. So there are many Ishmaels named in Israel, but you don't see many people named Esau of Israel. You won't see it. Yeah.
I lost my place. Cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman will not be heir with my son Isaac. And the thing was grievous in Abraham's sight because of his maidservant and because of his son, that he should drive them from him. And Elohim said to Abraham, "Let it not be grievous in your sight, because of the child and because of the bondwoman, and all that Sarah has said unto you. Hearken to her words and do them. For in Isaac shall your name and seed be called. But as for the son of this bondwoman, I will make him a great nation, because he is of your seed." And Abraham rose up early in the morning, and took bread and a bottle of water, and placed them on the shoulders of Hagar and the child, and sent her away. And she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba, and the water in the bottle was spent, and the child thirsted and was not able to go on.
And I might even add, after you listening to this being read, that Paul may have been referencing the Jubilees account when he was doing his letter. It sounds similar. This reinforces the point from part 1 of the Bible study about the temperament of Ishmael and him most likely trying to create a strong bond with his younger brother. The book of Jasher claims Ishmael wants to kill Isaac, and that doesn't sit well. It doesn't make sense. So still carrying on, Hagar again obeys the voice of the angel messenger, and most likely appointed by Yahweh Elohim to look over the affairs of Ishmael, ensuring that he becomes a great nation. This promise is extended to the seed of Abraham, provided that they obey the commands of Yahuwah. Yahuwah Elohim words does not return to him void. It was unfortunate for Ishmael to get caught up in, as you would say back home, big people business. Unfortunate. And had to face the consequences of a misstep on their part. So the adults make a mistake, the children end up paying for it. More unfortunate is how current prophetic doctrine entangles him as his seed into narrative that has no bearing upon him. Again, the whole doctrine about the Muslims are descended from Ishmael and all that kind of stuff. Yahweh is his judge, and his weeping ends. And this is from Proverbs No Proverbs, Psalms, and it's about weeping may endure for a night.
So Psalm 29, 1 to 12. For the end, a psalm and song at the dedication of the house of David. I will exalt thee, O Yahuwah, for you have lifted me up and not caused mine enemies to rejoice over me. O Yahuwah, my Elohim, I cried to you, and you did heal me. O Yahuwah, you have brought up my soul from Hades. You have delivered me from among them that go down to the pit. Sing to Yahuwah, you his saints, and give thanks for the remembrance of his holiness. For anger is in his wrath, but life in his favor. Weeping shall tarry for the evening, but joy in the morning. And I said in my prosperity, I shall never be moved. O Yahuwah, in your good pleasure you did add strength to my beauty, but you did turn away your face, and I was troubled. To you, O Yahuwah, will I cry, and to my Elohim will I make supplication. What profit is there in my blood when I go down to destruction? Shall the dust give praise to you, or shall it declare your truth? Yahuwah heard and had compassion upon me. Yahuwah has become my helper. You have turned my mourning into joy for me, for you have rent off my sackcloth and girded me with gladness, that my glory may sing praise to you, and I may not be pierced with sorrow. O Yahuwah, my Elohim, I will give thanks to you forever.
When I read the Psalms, then I hear how King David poured his soul out with boldness. It shows how much he knew and trusted in Yahuwah Elohim. And just hearing these words back tries to embolden me as well, especially when those tough moments come around. So we are in verse 19 to 21.
And Yahuwah opened her eyes, and she saw a well of springing water, and she went and filled the skin with water and gave the child drink. And Elohim was with the child, and he grew and dwelt in the wilderness and became an archer. And he dwelt in the wilderness, and his mother took him a wife out of Paran of Egypt.
So Elohim is with the lad. Ishmael is becoming great with some help. Hagar's eyes opened, in quotes, and this can be looked upon in two ways. Actually, I said it should be three ways, not two. A miracle of great proportions was caused in the wilderness, as water is provision for Hagar and Ishmael. So, water appears, and we know that typically tends to happen with those who the Most High looks out for. She is spiritually blind and did not see the living water that was before her, as she was more concerned with the bitterness of heart, and I think that could be a situation for all of us. You know, we are looking at the circumstance, and we are pining and moaning, and we're not looking that he is going to get us through it. And this is a reminder that, you know, yes, spiritual blindness, but trust and move past that blindness. But it could be all of the above. So it should have been 3, not 2.
Or the Caribbean say tree.
3. It's th. So there's Ishmael becoming an archer.
The water from the well revived them both. This is a reminder to all of us that Yahuwah would provide, even in a harsh wilderness. He has his eyes upon those who trust in his words. We all have trials, that is a mountain to climb. He is able to take us around it to the final destination. The wilderness is a recurring theme for the seed of Abraham. It is a place of testing to prove the words of Yahuwah and to refine his people. Though we cannot for certain determine who his seed is, an educated guess can be made. Where you're referring to Ishmael, right?
Yeah.
Yahuwah Elohim has his eyes on Ishmael, and he is not slated for destruction through his word via the prophets.
Right, so
prophets.
Ishmael's seed, again, we know what is typically said, but you can't know that for certain. But there is something we're going to touch on where Ishmael is concerned, because his seed is also causing problems as well. So Elohim is with the lad, a wife for Ishmael. Further, Yahuwah is with Ishmael. For a lad either mocking or plotting the murder of his brother, the Elohim of Abraham is going easy on Ishmael for doing such a bad thing. The book of Joshua, in its narrative, is setting up the optics for this moment with Ishmael being in the wilderness and becoming an archer. So you see how that narrative talk about him with his bow and arrow. Also, it gives additional details about his life. He flourished in the environment because of Yahuwah Elohim's provision. So Paran is translated a place of caverns. No input at this moment from his father Abraham that we can clearly see, but certainly Yahuwah would have been guiding his mother to select a good wife for her son. No, I think it's in the book of Yashar. It goes into more detail, but as I said, I don't really take it too much seriously. The narrative between the Masoretic and the Septuagint differs slightly on where he is and from whence his mother seeked out his wife. But, as any good mother would do, she found him a wife from among her people in the land of Egypt. Why a place of caverns? Likely where her people originated from in Egypt, and his wife would have been the daughter of someone known to her. This region would have had many underground structures as the water makes its way across the subterranean landscape. So this is a map showing where that is probably that place. Let me see if I can point it out here quickly. So there are a number of additional features that we will revisit. So the wilderness of Paran, that upper portion to the top right-hand corner is where they believe that location is. And for those who are in the know, the real Mount Sinai is a mountain in Saudi Arabia that goes by Jabal al-Lawz. And that's featured on the map, which I was surprised about.
Islamic tradition has it that Paran is associated with their holy site Hijaz. This tradition and location has given way to the Muslim connection to Ishmael. Remember, the geopolitical boundaries of the time places that region in Egypt. The geopolitical boundaries of the time places that region in Egypt. Islam as a religion did not exist until the Common Era. Did you put error?
Error. Same difference.
Ishmael is becoming a great nation wherever he lays his tent pegs.
So that's just, and again, we have to rethink a lot of the stuff that we were taught, because we're in a new generation where information is easy to access, and we're supposed to be in the Word deciphering it. I'm not saying what others have said before is not valid, but we have to do that work now for ourselves.
We have to research it.
We have to re-research it. Right, and then apply it and see what is taking place out there. Okay, so we are in verses 22 to 24.
And it came to pass at that time that Abimelech spoke, and Achazath, his friend, and Philcol, the chief captain of his host, to Abraham, saying, God is with you in all things whatsoever you mayest do. Now swear to me, therefore, by Elohim, that you will not injure me, nor my seed, nor my name, but according to the righteousness which I have performed with you, you shall deal with me, and with the land in which you have sojourned. And Abraham said, I will swear.
Okay, so this is an important backstory. So the narrative switches from Ishmael, and it goes back to Abraham with Abimelech and a couple other fellows in this scenario here. So ignoring the Masoretic and establishing a time period before Isaac was born and after the incident of Sarah, Abraham, and Abimelech. So that's the time frame we should be looking at this meeting that is happening. The situation that is narrated in these verses would have occurred. The Septuagint is giving details that should cause us to pause for a moment and investigate further. As the narrative switches to this moment, it gives context to what was previously unfolding with Hagar and Ishmael, them being in the wilderness and her finding the well. And where did I stop?
When they wept in the wilderness.
Yes. And she was given wisdom to see the well of water, which belongs to her Bahali, and those who know Hebrew would know what that word means. It could mean Lord, Master, it could also mean husband, depending on the context. And we know Abraham was that to her. Which would mean that Hagar and Ishmael did not get too far from the base tent. This backstory is revealing a lot and can be connected to end-time prophecy as well.
Revisiting a previous study is necessary at this moment. Remember in Genesis 10, the nations divide. It was discovered that the Septuagint had additional offspring in the lineage of Shem that can potentially affect things. And also reference Genesis chapter 14, part 2a, the person of mystery that we did. Well, here again we see that the Septuagint is name-dropping, calling out a friend of Abimelech named Ochozath. Consulting another main source, the English Samaritan Pentateuch, his name is not mentioned in that text.
So we use 3 source texts here, Samaritan Pentateuch, Septuagint, well actually 4, the Masoretic and also the Vulgate. And I looked to contrast to see what's going on. The Samaritan Pentateuch left that name out. So then what's going on?
So we don't stop there. 2 extra biblical sources were also referenced to gather more material on Ishmael, as one in particular is the go-to outside of the main canon.
And we spoke about that. That's the book of Jasher, because a lot of people love how it builds their narrative. So first revisiting the additional generation of Shem through his son Arphaxad. So that's where we're going. So this is from Genesis 10, verses 22 to 25.
The children of Shem, Elam and Asher, and Arphaxad, and Lud and Aram. And the children of Aram, Uz and Hul and Geter and Mash. And Arphaxad begot Shelah, and Shelah begot Ever. And to Ever were born 2 sons. The name of one was Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided. And his brother's name was Joktan.
Right, and again, we are doing this because we need to, I don't want to say discrepancies, but some of the scripture that we claim to believe is actually backing things up, and we need to come to some sort of understanding of what is and what isn't. So hence going back to look at this other discrepancy, so it would give validation to what is this guy that shows up out of the blue where the Septuagint narrative is concerned. So now we go to the LLX, and you see it says something different. Can you read?
Yep, sons of Sem, Elam, and Asher, and Arphaxad, and Lud, and Aram, and Canaan. And the sons of Aram, Uz, and Ul, and Geter, and Mosek. And Arphaxad begot Canaan. I didn't practice these. And Canaan begot Salah, and Salah begot Heber. And to Heber were born 2 sons. The name of the one Phaleg, because in his days the earth was divided, and the name of his brother Joktan.
Right, so now we are comparing the same passage, the Masoretic above, the Septuagint below. And we see that there is this extra generation Canaan that is not mentioned in the Masoretic. So we keep going. Also, as we discovered that the New Testament, in an account of the Anointed One in Luke, references Shem descendants in his genealogy, validating what the Septuagint says about this Canaan here. So this is from the New Testament, Luke chapter 3, verses 32 to 36.
Which was the son of Jesse, which was the son of Obed, which was the son of Boaz, which was the son of Salmon, which was the son of Naasson, which was the son of Abinadab, of Aram, I'm just going to skip that part, though, which was the son of Ezram, and of Pharez, and of Judah, and of Jacob, and of Isaac, which was the son of Abraham, of Thera, was of Nachor, of Saruk, of Ragu, Phalek, which was the son of Heber, which was the son of Salah, which was the son of Canaan.
And you can stop right there. So you see the New Testament is validating what the Septuagint says. So those who have any conflict about that, they can say it's either something has to give in terms of which one is we can assume is detailing the right narrative.
The gospel authors and all the other letters and epistles use the Septuagint as their reference anyways. That's where they're quoting from, right?
Right, in the majority of cases.
Yeah.
So we peeked at the book of Jasher when Genesis 6 was discussed, talking about the Nephilim or the giants. This source is accessed with reluctance as it tends to inflate the narrative. It is a go-to as an extra biblical source when gathering additional material on Ishmael as well. But why stop with Jasher? Looking at the book of Jubilees, another extra biblical source that relates the same narrative, it also parallels with the Masoretic and the Septuagint in conjunction in Jasher. So all of them is giving the same narrative, details a little bit different. Some validate the other as you read along. So off on another rabbit trail we go. So this is Jasher with the genealogy.
Chapter 7, 15 and 16. And these are the son of Shem, Elam, Asher, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram, 5 sons. And the son of Elam were Shushan, Makul, and Harman. The sons of Asher were Myris and Mokil, and the sons of Arphaxad were Shelach, Anar, and Asqual.
So the Joshua is staying in line with the narrative. So let's see what the book of Jubilee says.
Chapter 8, 1-6. In the 29th Jubilee, in the first week, in the beginning thereof, Arphaxad took him to himself a wife, and her name was Razueji. I don't know what that is. The daughter of Susan, the daughter of Elam, and she bare him a son in the 3rd year in this week, and he called his name Canaan. And the son grew, and his father taught him writing, and he went to seek for himself a place where he might seize for himself a city.
Okay, so there we see that name Canaan is in the account from the book of Jubilees. So we have the New Testament validating the Septuagint, and we also have the Book of Jubilees validating what the Septuagint says.
Two witnesses.
So we have two witnesses. So as we hinted before, whichever narrative you go with, it will build the doctrines that you choose to go with. And we know that there are other challenges between both the Masoretic and the Septuagint in terms of who was born when versus who was not born when. But that's a whole other discussion that we already covered. So it's just to bring light to this new character, as I said, that is being introduced in the Septuagint with Abraham and his buddy Avimelech.
From the Book of Jubilees, another extra biblical reference that is validating the Septuagint, it shows that in the genealogy of Shem, him having a descendant through his son Arphaxad by the name of Canaan. So why is this important? Why have we gone all through all of this? Returning to the main topic of Abraham and Abimelech, the Septuagint included a third party in the narrative, where the Masoretic does not. Revisiting the Canaan affair was to show that this is not a new situation. The Book of Jubilees validates this third party with an account through Isaac.
So Jubilees chapter 24 verses 21 to 29.
And he went up from thence to the well of the oath in the first year of the first week in the 44th Jubilee. And Yahweh appeared to him that night on the new moon of the first month, and said unto him, I am the Elohim of Abraham your father. Fear not, for I am with you, and shall bless you, and shall surely multiply your seed as the sand of the earth. For the sake of Abraham my servant, and he built an altar there, which Abraham his father had first built, and he called upon the name of Yahweh, and he offered sacrifice to the Elohim of Abraham his father, and they digged a well, and they found living water. And the servants of Isaac digged another well, and did not find water, and they went and told Isaac that they had not found water. And Isaac said, I have sworn this day to the Philistines that this thing has been announced to us. And he called the name of that place the well of the oath, for there he had sworn to Abimelech and Ahuzath, his friend, and Phil called the prefect, or his host.
Of his host, the prefect, that's commander. So there we see that name is mentioned in the Book of Jubilees, but the account is with Isaac, Abraham's son, which is fine, but it just goes to show that that name does not appear out of the blue. It's there within references of Scripture.
And you're going to bring this home, right? You're
Yep.
going to explain to us why we've gone all
We
through all of that. Okay.
Continue.
Oh, sorry, I lost my place. As his friend and Philco the perfect, or his host. And Isaac knew that day that under constraint he had sworn to them to make peace with them. And Isaac on that day cursed the Philistines and said, Cursed be the Philistines unto the day of wrath and indignation from the midst of all nations. May Elohim make them a derision and a curse and an object of wrath and indignation in the hands of the sinners, the Gentiles, and in the hands of the Kittim. And whoever escapes the sword of the enemy and the Kittim, may the righteous nation root out in judgment from under heaven, for they shall be the enemies and foes of my children throughout their generations upon the earth.
Question whether this is going to come to pass. That will be discussed soon. But when this incident with Isaac is presented in Genesis 6:26 study, this passage from Jubilee would be revisited, as there might be some prophetic implication based on his statement here in verse 28. So we'll look at this a little bit deeper when we get to Isaac, when he is featured in the narrative moving forward. So an important backstory, we continue with a covenant this time. With all the players in the picture and previous backstories as a reminder, the visitors present to Abraham the matter at hand. So hence going back to show that this guy is not some person being plucked out of the blue, and he has an important part in what is taking place with this situation with Abraham and Abimelech right now. The men observed how Abraham is prospering and attributed to his Elohim Yahuwah, who Abimelech had a dreamy encounter with, and knows his awesome power and authority. This is after the situation with Abraham, Sarah, and Abimelech, as we know, back in Genesis chapter 20, verse 15.
And Abimelech said, Behold, my land is before thee. Dwell where it pleases you.
Right, so all the parties are there now. Sticking with the Septuagint account, Abimelech says something very interesting.
Now therefore swear to me by Elohim that you will not injure me, nor my seed, nor my name, but according to the righteousness which I have performed with you, you shall deal with me and with the land in which you have sojourned.
Abimelech is very concerned and thus is looking for guarantees from his peer Abraham, because they are both equals, about preserving his future legacy, which Abraham is agreeing to. In Jubilee, Isaac is looking to make an annulment of the agreement, and it connects Abimelech to the Philistines, and they feature in end-time events with Israel. So all of these players that's being mentioned, we know they are part of end-time prophecy that we should not be ignoring. So back to verse 25 to 27.
And Abraham reproved Abimelech because of the wells of water which the servants of Abimelech took away. And Abimelech said to him, I know not who has done this thing to you, neither did you tell it me, neither I heard it only today. And Abraham took sheep and calves and gave them to Abimelech, and both made a covenant.
Conflict. Water is life in a desolate land.
What? Sorry? Oh, did you? What did he? Oh, he just jumped?
Water is life in that region. Because of the land's barrenness, life develops along the watered areas of the region. So this picture that you see here was taken when I was in Israel back in 2013. And as you can see, well, in a bigger blow-up, you'd see all the agriculture that's taking place down in the valley. This was in Medigo, I think it was. So why do people settle in certain areas?
There are very important reasons why people throughout history have chosen to live where they do. If we look at maps of different places in the world, we'll notice that most large communities and cities are located on or near the water. Let's look some maps of two countries where there were early civilizations and see if this is true. Around 5,000 years ago, the first civilizations began to pop up along the southwest part of the continent of Asia. Today, this is an area we call the Middle East. Towns began to develop along river valleys where water was available. There were some important reasons for this.
Around 5,000 years ago, the first civilization began to pop up along the southwestern part of the continent of Asia. Today, that's repeated. There were some important reasons for this. River valleys, low-lying areas of land that surrounded the river and are good for farming. The land along these rivers is fertile because of the deposits of the minerals, etc., from the runoff. If there is fertile land, the crops can grow. Animals can also be raised if there is enough food and water for them. People learned that they could stay in one place and grow enough food to feed their community if they were near a water supply. So this is just to show the importance of water and why this concern being brought up by Abraham to Abimelech is very important, and it connects back to that story with Ishmael and Hagar as well. So this was briefly mentioned when discussing Ammon and Moab back in the Genesis chapter 19 verse C study, and we saw how water, or the lack of it, in current Middle Eastern circumstances could lead to war, hence the importance of water for everyone in that region. So continuing, this water supports both livestock and souls. Conflicts can arise when much is dependent on you to make provision. The servants of Abimelech took matters into their own hand and acted inappropriate towards Abraham. Abraham did not resist the servants of Abimelech, and possibly for the following reasons. So there we have a nice cow staring back at us.
Because Abraham is a kind, humble man, he did not want to start a brawl with the servants and by extension with Abimelech.
And we know Abraham is capable of doing it with the situation with his nephew Lot. So it's not to say he can't, he could.
Given the situation with his wife, Abraham may have thought that Abimelech is being malicious and gave his servants the authority to act with ill will towards him. The expectation is that a servant would not act outside the authority of his or her master or mistress.
Now, the rules back in that time were very strict about the master and his trusted servants. So we know Eliezer is Abraham's trusted servant, and he carried out his word according to Abraham's utterance. And the same thing we could say with Abimelech and Phicol and those who are under their authority. So in this situation, it could be spite happening. Abimelech say, fine, you did this to me, I'm going to do this back to you. So that's another possibility.
The servants of Abimelech did not know who Abraham was and figured him to be a squatter.
And again, with water being a very scarce commodity, they would act accordingly in terms of protecting that resource. So squatting is not a new phenomena. It happened back in that time. So they could have looked at him as being a squatter and wanting to protect the rights of their master. So hence being antagonistic towards Abraham.
Whatever the reasons, there is hostility, and Abraham did not strike out at the servants of Abimelech. He may have had made alternate arrangements, not conducive to his household, to keep his tents watered. Also, he had Yahweh to depend on for his life, for this life necessity. Also, keep in mind this is after the events of Sodom and Gomorrah. The water along part of Jordan is now unusable, and water would become even scarcer.
All right, so that's something else we need to keep in mind. After Sodom and Gomorrah, that whole place become a barren wasteland, still to this day, as we all are aware of. Water is life in a desolate land, and this picture was taken right here in Calgary a few months ago. And Esther's supposed to know when this was. When and maybe where. No, remember that place you told us to go, that boat? Right, we couldn't find it. This is the... Yeah.
Water may not be the big issue here, as Yah is Abraham's provider, but the treatment meted out to him as a guest in Abimelech's land.
So that's the main issue, how you treat your people, how you treat your guests.
The rule of hospitality has been broken. Abimelech seems to be a reasonable man, also a righteous man, and emphatically declared he was not aware of the matter concerning the well Abraham dug. When a man of authority has much in his realm, he would delegate responsibility to the men under his charge, in like manner with Abraham and the men who are loyal to him. Abimelech is obligated to right the wrong. This is an example of how men should act when conflict arises. This would also require men having an understanding of the dynamics of life and how the Elohim of everything fits into the details. Further, Abimelech would be aware that favor follows those who keep the commands of Yahweh and would not want it to depart from him.
And we know this is a concept that should not be ignored, and we have a number of examples. So here we have a situation with Joseph, which we'll be touching on.
And Yahweh was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house with his lord, the Egyptian. And his master knew that Yahweh was with him. And Yahweh prospers in his hands whatsoever he happens to do.
And we know what ended up happening with that in that situation. We won't talk more about it, but just an example. So that's one. So here is Daniel.
Chapter 6, 1-3.
Mm-hmm.
And it pleased Darius, and he set over the kingdom 120 satraps to be in all his kingdom, and over them 3 governors, of whom one was Daniel, for the satraps to give account to them, that the king should not be troubled. And Daniel was over them, for there was an excellent spirit in him, and the king set him over all his kingdom.
And then we have with Jacob, which we'll be eventually encountering. And Laban said to him, If I have found grace in thy sight, I would augur well, for Yahuwah has blessed me at thy coming in. So here we see Laban is being blessed. Appoint me thy wages, and I will give them. And Jacob said, Thou knowest in what things I have served thee, and how many cattle of thine are with me. For it was little thou hadst before my time. Right, so we see he had nothing starting off. And it is increased to a multitude. And Yahuwah Elohim has blessed thee since my coming. Now then, when shall I set up my own house? So here we see another situation where that principle is unfolding. And we'll elaborate more on it when we encounter primarily Jacob first, because I put it last, and then subsequently Joseph after. Conflict. What is life in a desolate land? Abraham took of his hand Rasta sheep. No, not Rasta sheep, no.
They do look like Rasta sheep over there.
But they do look like Rasta sheep.
Some dreads.
Yeah, so Abraham took some Rasta sheep and calves to make a covenant concerning the well. Let me talk properly. Yeah. and the concerns of Abimelech regarding his legacy. So this is what is taking place here now. The making of this covenant can be in like manner of the dividing of the animals, and each man walking between the pieces with the blood, as we covered in Genesis 15 part 1. It seems Abraham is willing to make this agreement with Abimelech, not being under duress to do so. It also gives reassurance to both parties concerning rights, privileges, and future actions between each man's legacy. Water is life. Water is life and a necessity for both men in a barren land. So moving on, Genesis 21, 28 to 31.
And Abraham set 7 ewe lambs by themselves, and Abimelech said to Abraham, "What are these 7 ewe lambs which you have set alone?" And Abraham said, "You shall receive the 7 ewe lambs of me, that they may be for me as a witness, that I dug this well." Therefore he named the name of the place the Well of the Oath, for there they both swore.
So the well witnessed to an act. Abraham sets aside 7 female lambs. Why 7 and why female? That's something we should be asking. Here's a plausible reason provided by the website God Running. Genesis 21, 22 to 34. What is the meaning of these 7 ewe lambs you have set apart by themselves? So that's the title of that piece in that blog. So instead of fighting Abimelech or insisting, and I took this part out of the whole narrative, just enough to show how the thinking of other people as well. So instead of fighting Abimelech or insisting on Abimelech giving back control of the well, Abraham provides a graceful way out, and I like how they stated it here. He gives Abimelech 7 lambs so Abimelech can tell his servants that the well has been purchased. Abraham gets his well back, Abimelech's servants save face, Abimelech avoids contention within his ranks, and all is well. So again, when you have 2 great men in a land, and each man is revered by the people under him, you have a situation where, the matronists have to sort of mellow out itself. So this plausible reason they're giving here is very likely, and both men get to save face in front of their respective men who look up to them with respect and authority. So that's a very good explanation here. Also, ewe lambs grow into mature females which can be breeded, producing more sheep over time. More than enough payment for a well of water so that all can be well. No pun intended there. At the well. So again, female sheep produce more sheep, and it's more than enough payment over time. Female sheep would have more value than a male sheep, and payment is made in full based on that situation. So the well of oath, or Beshiva, that's the Hebrew word and what it means. Thus the 2 men have a binding agreement which extends down the respective lines of their legacy based on this covenant at the well. So verses 32 to 34.
And they made a covenant at the Well of the Oath. And there rose up Abimelech, Ochozath his friend, and Philco the commander-in-chief of his army, and they returned to the land of the Philistines. And Abraham planted a field at the Well of the Oath, and called there on the name of Yahweh, the everlasting Elohim. And Abraham sojourned in the land of the Philistines many days.
So all's well, the land of the ... Sticking with the Septuagint account, the covenant is made between Abraham and Abimelech with 2 other parties looking on. Ochaz, his friend, and Phicol, the commander-in-chief of his army. They departed, returning to, in quotes, the land of the Philistines. Hence that region to this very moment being termed Palestine, and the people making a claim to that land bearing that name. In actuality, they are not the true Palestinians, but Philistines, but a holdover from the Ottoman Empire and the geopolitical realignment of World War I. So here is the map showing everybody in the alleged location, and Philistine here. And this is a little excerpt from Britannica concerning this situation.
Palestine. The word Palestine derives from Philistia, the name given by Greek writers to the land of the Philistines, who in the 12th century BCE occupied a small pocket of land on the southern coast between modern Tel Aviv, Yafo, and Gaza. The name was revived by the Romans in the 2nd century CE in Syria, Palestina, designating the southern portion of the province of Syria, and made its way thence into Arabic, where it has been used to describe the region at least since the early Islamic era.
And again, it's used as a geopolitical weapon, and we know all the circumstance that is currently unfolding with this. Nothing is new under the sun. Nothing is by accident. The events of the past resonates with the present. If a name if a name game is to be played, the region should be termed the Canaanite. But that would not be convenient because, again, it's to stir this confusion. That's the whole purpose. So continuing with all's well, the field next to the well.
Abraham then plants a field to cement the ownership of the well and the land situated next to it. He had to be a strong man at that age to engage in such laborious work.
Thus, the backstory to the well where Hagar finds herself and Ishmael weeping is complete. These backstories are needed to give context to what is happening at the present moment. Hagar and Ishmael may not have gotten that far when the heat and the emotions took its toll. But Yahweh keeps his word regarding the son of Abraham. Unfortunately, Ishmael as a nation joined a confederation to spoil his brother Israel. And this is taken from Psalm 83. This is referenced a lot, whether you believe it happened or it is still to happen. There are two sides to this, but it's just to show that Ishmael is still in the limelight, and this is where another reference to Ishmael is.
Okay, Psalm 83 in the Masoretic, 82 in the Septuagint. A song of a psalm for Asaph. O Elohim, who shall be compared to you? Be not silent, neither be still, O Elohim. For behold, your enemies have made a noise, and they that hate you have lifted up the head. Against your people they have craftily imagined a device, and have taken counsel against your saints. They have said, Come, and let us utterly destroy them out of the nation, and let the name of Israel be remembered no more at all, for they have taken counsel together with one consent. They have made a confederacy against you, even the tents of the Idumeans and the Ishmaelites, Moab and the Agarenes, Gebal and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines also, with them that dwell at Tyre.
So a lot is going on here. I'm thinking if when we get to Joseph, because the Ishmaelites is in that narrative with Joseph, I might go a little bit more in depth about what is taking place here, because it's a family affair of jealousy being highlighted. As we discussed in the Genesis 19 part C with Moab and Ammon, we know that they are family of Israel through Lot. Right? Some of these nations would be dealt with for their actions. We know Moab is going to be dealt with, as well as Idumea, which is Edom. And Ishmael's descendants would be further highlighted when Joseph is featured, because we have that situation with Joseph, with the Ishmaelites most likely playing a part. And coming back to mind, we also have that situation with Esau as well. After the situation with his brother Jacob, he went to his uncle Ishmael and took a wife to appease his father, because again, two men had a very good relationship, and it will be explored again when we get to Esau and all these other
men, meaning Ishmael and Isaac.
And Isaac, they had a good relationship.
Yeah.
Okay, so Idumeans, that's Edom. Ishmaelites, that's Ishmael. Moab, that's Lot. Agarenes, I looked this up to see who that could be, and there's one opinion is that these are descendants of Hagar. So most likely, if that's the case, Hagar may have married someone else, and they may have descended from her. I didn't find much on Gebal. We know who Ammon is. Ammon is connected to Moab, Ammon's brother. Amalek. Now, which Amalek this could be? Is this the Amalek that is the son of Edom? That's potentially the situation with Amalek. And we know the Philistines. And if the Philistines did this, they broke the promise made to Abraham. So that covenant is most likely null and void because of what they did here in this situation with Psalm 83. So here concludes the Bible study. So anyone, comments, questions?
Are you reading that?
Oh yeah. With gratitude, TeamD thanks each of you for being part of our study. Opening the scripture and reading the words of Yahuwah through his servants the prophets bring both excitement and hope to our souls. Stay on the journey with us and continue seeking him as he strengthens you each day.
And we can just say amen to that.
Amen.
Yep. Good. Anything else? You guys want to say? No?